Hello to everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It depends on which part of the world you find yourself right now. In any case, welcome. Welcome to our open day to the MBA presentation. My name is Giorgia Bava. I'm a recruiter coordinator in the Master Division, and for me it's a pleasure to have you all here. 155 in presence in our campuses, Milan and Rome, and 949 connected from all over the world. So today, it's a great opportunity for you to know our programs, in particular the MBA's family, chat with the director, alumni, staff, recruiting career development center, and breathe the essence, the value of our business school, an Italian school of management based in Milan, with location in Rome, Mumbai, and Panishi. We are other important international business schools because we are here to offer all our participants a truly global education experience. Over the course of these 52 years in the Master Division, made up of Master Specialized full-time and executive programs, we inspire more than 21,000 students, of which 8,000 MBAs. And that is possible thanks to a strong team, thanks to our faculty members, research, staff, and obviously the definition of strategic vision. That's why it's a pleasure for me to leave the floor now to the Dean of SDA Bocconi, Professor Stefano Caselli.
Thank you very much, Giorgia. It's a great pleasure to stay with you and to kick off the MBA presentation. Is a great emotion because we are really, let me say, in the key place of our business school, which is not just simply this classroom, because on the other side of the road, we have Bocconi University, founded in 1902 by an entrepreneur. Here we are in the business school, founded in 1971 by a brave group of professors with a very entrepreneurial spirit. And we have, basically people connected everywhere. So in our campus in Rome, in our location in Bombay, and in very other different places of the world. So it really makes sense in terms of community. So welcome, thank you to be here. It's very challenging for me because you know everything. At the end of the day, when you enter a presentation like that, you know everything about the business school, everything about the program, obviously many details, many aspects, but you know everything. And so what is challenging for me is that I cannot repeat and reiterate what you know. And so the value for me to kick off this presentation is to work on two different sides. The first one is to help you to enter the backstage of SDA Bocconi School of Management. So to discuss a bit about what you don't read in the website. And what you cannot read, because it's possible only entering the school, is to understand or to grasp what is the DNA of the school, which is quite important. And the second aspect is, what is the outcome? If you're going to enter in an MBA, it is very clear all the students in every part of the world want to enter a fantastic, bright MBA because they want to become a leader, they want to have an impact on society. But the question is, which kind of leader you want to be, and what is our idea of leadership. And again, it's very difficult to find in the website. So I want to discuss with you a bit about these two aspects. SDA Bocconi School of Management, in which sense I can help you to enter the backstage. And the best way to do that means the key to open the door and to enter, is to work on these two very simple words, and school and management. You find these two words everywhere on our website, School of Management. Too simple, probably, that you don't stop even to start elaborating school and management. But these two aspects are very helpful to understand what is the DNA of SDA Bocconi. A school, and the first one. And today, when we talk about education, we are here also to talk about, education. The temptation, and let me say the risk, in every part of the world is to run very fast and to click, to download, and that's it. You are happy, everything is okay, a lot of details, and sometimes makes sense. But the concept of the school is exactly the opposite. A school is a community. We, let me say, transform education into an experience, and education is not one way. I'm sorry, downloading is one way. A school is not one way. A school is a community where you have students, you have families, you have faculty, staff, alumni, donors, corporates. We work together, you know, to have an impact. And this auditorium represents exactly our concept of school. This is a community, and let me say, staying here in the middle of is very uncomfortable, because when we stay in a class and you have the whiteboard, you have the power. And this is, I'm sorry, one way. And this auditorium is not one way, because at a certain point in 3, 4, 5 minutes, it will be not clear at all if I'm giving something or you are giving something to Stefano. It's normal. That's education, where we work together. And this is the sense of the school we have in mind. And this is the sense of the school that SDA Bocconi, School of Management, had in mind since the beginning. The other is management. Management means to lead women, men, individuals, organizations, resources, even financial resources. I'm a finance professor, sorry for that. But management means to lead. And to lead means responsibility. So avoid the joke to say responsible management. I'm sorry, management is responsible by definition. Because when you have to lead a community, whatever is the community, this is a sense of responsibility. And responsibility means also to be able to interact with different content, culture, community, because the temptation in management, but also in, for professors, is to, let me say, to plunge into my comfort zone, which is my perfect silos of finance, and that's it. And I go very deep into details, that's my comfort zone. But this is not management. Management means to break the silos and to start, blending, and today management is blending, computer science with, marketing, with finance, and geopolitics. We have to blend, okay? So we have to break silos. Please, I say break, not to destroy, because destroy, it takes 1 minute, seems to be very effective, but it is a disaster, okay? To be a destroyer, it's very easy. To be, a breaker, and to be a person being able, to break the silos and to create a new puzzle is much more complex, much more exciting, and is what we have to do together. And then, leadership, to become a leader is the ambition of whatever kind of MBA program, okay? MBA program exists because we want, and all the business school want to train, the leaders of the future. And to be a leader is a state of mind, is a responsibility, means to be, impactful citizen. But what is the sense of leadership we have in mind? Today, we live in a world where, gaps are everywhere, and gaps are increasing, okay? We have a lot of inequalities, and inequalities are increasing, okay? Moving from, let me say, use of natural resources, gender balance, inequalities are everywhere, okay? And so the sense to be a leader means, please, not to mind the gap. Because the temptation when you have a gap is to mind the gap, which is risk management. Risk management means to mind the gap. That's fine, but you have to do something much more difficult, and you have to fill the gap. Not all the gaps. We are human beings, but we need to put on the table a contribution, especially if we are leaders, to fill some gap. This is our responsibility. And to fill some gap, at the end of the day, and I stop here, means to connect value, because in every organization we need to produce, value. We can discuss about the metrics, because metrics are different. We are a listed company, a private company, We are a public admin and no profit. We have different concept of value we have to measure with certain metrics, but you have to link to values, because if we have gaps all around, the only way to create a value is to use the values to fight with inequalities and gaps, which is at the end of the day, let me say, the destiny of every responsible leader, the destiny of every leader who is responsible by definition. Otherwise, he, she will not be a leader. That's a concept we have to work together in class. Enjoy this wonderful day. So thank you to be here and really enjoy. It's a great opportunity to interact with our community, and let's start the journey, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefano. And now I leave the floor to our Associate Dean, who leads the entire Master Division with our 16 programs, Professor Enzo Baglieri.
Thank you, Giorgia. Thank you, Stefano. So, welcome to this presentation of the full-time MBA. So, I'm the Associate Dean of the Master Division. The Master Division is the portion of the SDA Bocconi School of Management where all our master programs are designed, delivered, and continuously maintained and improved. It is the most important portion of the school, not only because of the products, the programs that we have in our portfolio, most of all because through these programs we contribute to the international rankings of this school, and as you probably have heard in the last weeks, we have been awarded by different third parties, the Financial Times and Bloomberg, as in this case specifically one of the best full-time MBA program in the world, and in Europe the #1 according to Bloomberg. So we are very proud about that. This is the outcome of a long sequence of activities, of planning, of redesigning the curricula, of thinking about the old services and activities taking place during this experience. And I would like to start, I need maybe the clicker, thank you so much, because I forgot this, it's because of the motion. I would like to give you a very quick understanding of the way we have created, designed our portfolio, starting from the fact that, you know, the school has this mantra: we want to design and deliver learning experiences, designing around your world. So you all are at the very center of every activities within the school. And when you approach an MBA program and in general a master program, first of all, you start from your today, your current status, your skills, background, experiences. You are thinking about your future, so you want to become something else, let's say better probably, you want to improve, so you expect for a transformation. So the first keyword we have in mind anytime we reconsider the characteristics of our programs is that people come to Bocconi because they expect for this transformative experience. You usually start from the expectation for a professional transformation. To be honest with you, large part of the transformation is also from the personal point of view. I'm used to say that anytime we ask our alumni what do they remember of their experience, they never say the dean, unfortunately, they never say the associate dean. Sometimes they say the director. In the majority case, in any case, they always say my classmates, the network, all the activities, even a lot of parties. So the whole, let's say, surrounding of the activity that made that experience 100% immersive and transformative. So that's why in designing the curricula, and I told you, we also take these elements into consideration, of course, always combining, let's say, the social dimension with the competence, the contents you expect us to deliver you. But let's say we have also this element always very clear in our mind. Second, when you come to this school, you have a dream. Different dreams, but at the end you have some aspiration and you come to Bocconi because we expect the It's not working today. We have some problem. Can you help me, please, with this? The clicker is not working. I need... Thank you. Stay there. That is better. We use the old technology. So I'm a professor of operations technology management. The first rule is that anytime you need technology, technology does not help you. And that's exactly what is going to happen. So you have an aspiration. You want to become, as I said already, you want to become better. You want to perform better. You want to transform your life. And starting from these two main variables, aspiration and transformation, let's say that basically, at the very beginning, when you expect to, when you dream to become a leader, in the majority case, you want to become a leader because you want to specialize in an industry or in a specific discipline. So you want to become a manager because you come to a school of manager, but you have clear in mind, in many cases, what is the industry where you want to play your role, you give your contribution, and what is the discipline you want to lead in terms of competence. Then we have people, in the majority case, people applying for an MBA program who, because of their skills, because of their attitudes, because of their experience, personal and professional, once again, because of their background, they have some specialization, but they want to develop a 360-degree perspective of the company, a very comprehensive understanding of what management is, and maybe we want also us to help them in finding the right position, the right job, the right competence to focus on. And in some sense, even in these events, in these open days, in this presentation of the program, we start consulting and advising first the prospects, then the applicants. And when you are a student, we spend a lot of time in providing directions and suggestions to better focus the final goal of your future career. The way we deliver this need for, let's say, meeting the aspiration can at least depend also on the process we adopt for the transformative experience. There are two basic differences. You can be exposed to a very intensive experience. That's what we call the full-time programs. That means you dedicate, in the majority case, 1 year or even a little bit more, 100% dedicated to the program, and you live here. You live in the school, you stay with us, and it's probably the most immersive way of being transformed. And there is the extensive approach, typical of the so-called part-time masters, usually dedicated to, let's say, senior people who have some more constraints in dedicating, in taking a leave to dedicate 100% to their this transformative experience. So just to summarize very quickly before then leaving the floor to my colleagues, at this school, even because we are strongly grounded, let's say, in the Italian business community, we still preserve some programs dedicated to the domestic context. So we have some specialized masters full-time in Italian for the domestic context, and some of them in delivered in English for the international context. You see now the picture. We have executive masters, once again specialized executive masters for the domestic market and for the international context, but most of all, then we dedicate a large part of our time to the most challenging programs, the MBA programs. So the full-time MBA we are going to talk about in a few seconds, the executive MBA and the global executive MBA in partnership with a joint program with the Rotman School of Management in Toronto, Canada. Let me just spend the last 3 seconds on what the full-time MBA is. It is our historical and flagship program. Now, the director, Stefano Poguz, and all people working around the program, plus our alumni, will give you the snapshot of what the program is. But basically, you must remember that this school was founded in 1971, and in 1977 we started with the first cohort of the the full-time MBA program. Now we are at currently the 49 cohorts. We have opened up last week. Next year, and that's what we are presenting now, we are going to celebrate the 50 anniversary, the 50 cohorts of our full-time MBA. In these 50 years, we have transformed a program that was originally dedicated only to Italian young managers, and we have transformed it in a very international and let's say with a very broad view program. And in the last, we are adding not only, let's say, the goal in terms of the design of the characteristics of the career, not only to create people who can change and drive the lead in the organization, but as the director, Stefano Pogos, used to say, also having an impact on the whole society around us. So I leave the floor now back to Georgia, and then to the director of the full-time MBA, to Sabine Morris, the Career Development Center. Enjoy the presentation, and of course, feel free to get in touch with all of us, with me, drop an email anytime you want. I'm always, let's say, replying anytime you want and you have any need. Ciao.
Thank you, Enzo. And now it's a pleasure for me to introduce our MBA program. So the MBA in SDA Bocconi is for the people who like to do things differently. It's more international, more individual, more customizable, more you. Discover why our participants choose the MBA in SDA Bocconi and why they think it's the best way to move the career forward. You should choose our MBA if you want to interact with international candidates that come from all over the world, and if you want to learn about their international experience. And I'm really happy today because I have a lot of candidates here in Rome and 944 connected from all over the world: Brazilian, Indian, Japanese, Korean, American, European, African. So perfect mix for perfect classroom. So this presentation, guys, is perfect for you for understanding if the MBA fits with your expectation, what we're looking for. It's really important to understand to whom it is addressed in the MBA, understand better the meaning of double jump, triple jump, change sector, function, country, and answer to the question, why would I like to apply in this specific period of my life for a full-time MBA? So for those online, feel free to ask your question in our chat. And for the people in front of me and in Rome, do not hesitate to raise your hands after the presentation. Just quickly, information before we begin. This session lasts 1 hour and a half more about. And if you would like to review this webinar, we will upload the link on our website. And another very important information, if you would like to arrange an orientation meeting with the recruiting team, online, in presence, in our campuses, or around the world during our meetup, do not hesitate to send us an email to MD, Master Division, MD, @sdabocconi.it. So as I said before, thank you very much for all the participants here and connected, but also thanks to the director of the program, Professor Stefano Pogos. Welcome, Stefano.
Thank you. Buongiorno a tutti. Welcome, everyone, those who are here in presence, those who are connected online. So, buongiorno, buon mattino, buonasera, as we say in Italy. And thanks.
Sabine Morris, Head of Career Development Center.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to those that are connecting from home. We'll be together, as Giorgia said, for an hour and a half. There will be also time for some questions. We're here to answer to your doubts and to understand why you would eventually choose to come to Milan soon.
Thank you. And thank you to our 3 special guests. Our alumni welcome the same shoes as you, Prachisaka, David Succo, and Patricia Schenker. Thank you very much. And welcome to my colleague Valentina in Rome. So let's start with the presentation. I give the floor to my speaker. So could you quickly introduce yourself, please?
Okay, let's start. And again, I'm Stefano Pogos. I used to say, when I introduce myself, a couple of things. The first is related to the program. I've started the third year. It has been an amazing journey. I have some of the participants of my first edition here. And as I always said, I mean, it was a wonderful experience. First of all, when you start something new, there was a kind of very intensive and energetic experience, but it has been amazing to take part in the journey, thanks also to your class. The second is a personal one. I wanted to be an architect in my life. I had no idea when I entered Bocconi in 1987, so many, many years ago, that after more than 30 years, almost 35 years, I would have become the director of a program with probably such a relevance, where you can have impact on people, the transformative experience, and so on and so forth. I'm still here in a wonderful, I would say, campus, so my architectural part has been satisfied. I'm happy about that. And why I'm here, I will try to tell you a little bit more, describing the program that I have the chance to direct, because of the specificities of this school. This is a wonderful opportunity for everybody if you're going to join us in this journey.
I am the head of the career development team. We cater to a lot of different programs within the school, but of course, the majority of the time that we invest in connecting with companies and making sure the students that are participating in the MBA full-time are trained properly and can face very demanding interview processes. I'm looking at the 3 alumni because they went through a lot of different interviews, is really the focus. So the MBA full-time is also the one that takes a lot of our energy because it's a very long program, and students to be able to live the transition and become something different from what they were when they came into the school requires to do a lot of different things. And the academics is the most important part because it's also the longest in terms of hours, in terms of different courses that students take, core and electives and things that they add on top. But then the school day does not finish at 1:30. It actually starts, really, because there's a lot of company activities, there is interview process preparation. So life at the MBA is really intense. There is sometimes for parties in between the exams, which is an important part of the program too, and club activities. We will also talk about clubs later on. But of course, making this transition happens requires people to be very hands-on with their own life and understanding what they want to do, testing a couple of things, but at the end, deciding what they want to do after all.
Good. So guys, the floor is yours. Prachi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Prachi Shah. I came to Italy in 2015 to do my MBA, so it's been 8 years that I've been here. I'm originally from India, and I graduated in 2016. And yeah, my journey in Italy was meant to be, so I ended up working in Italy, living in Italy, and currently I am working at Dolce & Gabbana in the beauty division as the global senior product manager. And I think we will have more time to explore my journey during MBA and post-MBA, and of course I'm here to answer all your questions.
Okay, I'm David Suku. I'm half Italian, half German. Really, really excited to be here because this place brings up so many memories, and very excited to see all of your faces maybe going into this adventure that we have lived. In my case, 2 years ago, I'm an MBA 47, so I graduated basically last year. Currently, I work as a consultant at Bain & Company, mostly in the pharmaceutical field and in the beauty field. And before that, actually, I was in automotive, so a completely different field. Then the MBA for me was transformative in this way because it allowed me to change geography and, as you can hear from this, also industry. And yeah, in the free time, because there is also free time in life, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so I like to go on motorcycles, snowboards, depending on the season, and sometimes read weird stuff on Wikipedia.
Well, hi everybody, I'm Patricia Schenker. I'm Brazilian. I do have Italian citizenship now, but I'm Brazilian. I am a former lawyer, came to Italy, I was in the same class as Dave, so we graduated last year. Currently, I'm working at BlackRock in their tech division, so implementing their software. And honestly, the MBA was a transformative experience. I came to Italy not knowing if I wanted to stay in Italy, and then like fell in love with the country. And honestly, like we're gonna have more time to talk about it, but it's been an amazing journey. And yeah.
Thank you, guys. So now the protagonist is the MBA, the program that changed your life. Stefano, a quick question about our ranking, or even better, about its value. We are now third in Europe, sixth in the world, according to the Financial Times, and first business school in Europe, according to Bloomberg. What does this mean, and how do you think we achieve such incredible results?
Yeah, I think this is an important point to start. We are proud. We always have at Bocconi, at SDA Bocconi, kind of smooth spirit. Those who are staying here will learn about that. We use the word understatement sometimes, but I think that this is an important point to celebrate, so I'm good to start with that. It has been a long journey, as it was said. Bocconi has a long story, SDA Bocconi too. We were a national player, and progressively we've been learning how to play in the international, I would say, competition. Now we stand alongside the most prestigious business school, and we are even in the top position because Bloomberg gave us the #1 position. Why is it so? I mean, Professor Caselli and Baglieri mentioned a couple of things in their speech. One is our DNA, and the other one is about responsibility. So I will not go through that, but I think that it is the result of many ingredients. I'm very proud of the faculty. Our alumni can witness the outstanding quality of teaching we have here for an historical tradition, and this matching also with research and capacity to publish in top journal. And the connection, practice, and research has been, I think, a unique element in our, let's say, set of ingredients. Another component is flexibility and the so-called cozy environment. So the goal is to have 120 students in our class. And the size is important because you really are a cozy group of people in the sense that collaboration is an element which is very specific. You get to know anybody, you work with everyone, faculty is there, I would say the staff is there, program officer, career development center are there. And another element is in our learning process. I think the Career Development Center, they did a huge work on enlarging the market, and now we are a real player in the world, let's say. The 50th edition that will happen brings additional responsibility, and that we know that we must keep innovation in what we do. I'm a professor of sustainability and innovation, so what I try to infuse in the program are these two ingredients. You need to become entrepreneur in companies. You might become start-upper. The world will change even more fast in the future. We know that, and we want to target this type of challenge in the program in order to keep the position we have today.
Thank you, Stefano. So now let me move to the beautiful, really beautiful new claim. Change together, lead with impact. 4 crucial words and meaning. So could you elaborate a bit more?
Yeah, thanks, Georgia, for the question. I think that, as I was saying, I'm quite comfortable in explaining, illustrating these things, because that has been part of my research for a long while. We are into what we call a set of disruption, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, I would say volatility, are words that are recurrent today in managerial terms. So we need to think that beside the traditional funding pillar that you have in every, I would say, MBA around the world, we need to address this in a different way in order to prepare the manager of the future. And how do we do that? I mean, change is about the transformative experience, personal, or we add on the competencies, not only the technical, but also the behavioral. And that has been illustrated by Professor Caselli and Professor Baglieri, so I don't go farther into that. I stop on the word together because, again, this is, I think, talking with many of my students. I had more than 100 I'd say one-to-one interview with the class every year. I dedicate a lot of time, but why I can dedicate a lot of time? Because of the number. The fact that you are 120 as a target, 110 this year, 113 this year, allows us to have a really collaborative type of relation. And the class has a unique, I would say, a mix, blending the diversity. This year we have 38 nationality in class with the 100 students. So you really have the possibility to experience the cultural diversity and the different worldview. This is a unique lab. Comparing to other schools, I think that the index of diversity on the number of people is really specific at Bocconi, but also from the side of Career Development Center, from the side of program officer, we can have a very, very collaborative view. Lead with impact is what I've been already addressing. I think that we need to prepare leaders that are able to transform for the better this society. This has been always my, let's say, tension, my purpose in my life. And I'm very happy because the younger generation today have this strong sense of purpose. So I think that in that we are very aligned, and we want to enhance this sense of purpose through a number of different techniques, learning patterns, and so on. And this is why we are claiming Lead with Impact. I think it's rooted in the story of this university, of this school, and we can help preparing people that can transform with entrepreneurial and innovation spirit the society addressing these challenges.
Great, thank you. So guys, the floor is yours. Patricia and David, why have you chosen our MBA, and can you tell us the reason behind this tough, really tough decision?
I think choosing the MBA is a very important decision in your life. It's not an easy decision in your life, but because it's so impactful on your personal development as a person and as a professional. To me, if I look back at the time when I decided to take this decision, I see my life was kind of like on a railway. Like it was going into one direction, everything was very fast. I mean, it was straight, and I was, and at some point I realized, I took a step back, I stopped, and I realized, like, is this actually the place where I want to go? Like, is this taking me to the person I want to become? And I came to the conclusion that it wouldn't have been a bad idea to take a step back, stop and reflect and say, okay, but what if I put myself into a completely new environment? And I put myself around a wide and bright setting of people from which I can learn from, which come from a completely different background, which come from completely different countries, and see if this helps me to realize, okay, who am I really, and what am I good at, and what am I not good at? And the decision to do the MBA was exactly this. So put myself in a new sea, in a new ocean, and test myself and see what if what I wanted to do was really what I was doing. And it turned out it wasn't. And the MBA helped me to discover this. And it turned out that at the end of the day, I got off this train where I was going, but I entered a new space shuttle, which was, you know, the tools and all the different things I was able to do, to learn during my program. So it wasn't an easy decision, but looking back, I think it was one of the toughest, but one of the most important decisions that I took in my life.
Well, I agree. It's a tough decision to make, especially because you're usually, for the full-time MBA, you're in a point in your career where it's a pivotal point, and you're usually working a lot. So you're making the conscious decision to stop everything that you're doing, go back to school, and reinvent yourself. I always say that I did it because I wasn't satisfied with my career. I wasn't satisfied working in law. The part that I liked about my job was completely unrelated to law. And that made me start to think, what can I change? How can I change it? I also wanted to shift countries. So all of that combined made me decide to go for an MBA. And then you start to rethink your life, honestly, because yes, the MBA is going to be focused on your career, but it's much more than that. So it's very transformative. And it's something that you'll hear every alum from every MBA saying like, oh, it changed my life. And you think, yeah, not true. It's true. It's true. So it's an important decision. And I think a lot of factors for different people like bring you to that decision, but in the center of it all is always change. It's like there's always something, either is your country or your career or all of it, or there's just an itch that you can't really scratch and you need to, and that's like the pivotal point to, okay, let's do an MBA.
Good point. So consider the word change of our claim. I would like to ask you to share with us what change has meant to you. Have you had undergone any change? What kind? Share your story. So, Prachi.
No, I think for me, everything changed. And I was very open to change as well, because if you're not open to change, you don't move ahead in life, right? So the only thing constant in life is change, and you evolve. And for me, my path was also my path to like choosing MBA was because I definitely wanted to change geography, so really have an international experience, because up till that point I'd always lived in India, and world is a massive place. I also wanted to change, of course, not really change industries necessarily, but then change my mindset, change, or a better word to put it is like transform my skills, because MBA is not just about your classroom and what you learn over there. And of course, there are great professors, but what really changed for me was also me and my personality. I was really an introvert. I was terrible at like going ahead and like talking to people, making friends or networking or whatever else. And just this experience of being in a room with so many different people, so many from different nationalities, different backgrounds, really propelled me into that change of mindset, the change of my personality evolution, I would say. And yeah, in general, I think just living in Europe, living in Italy, experiencing a new culture also helps you sort of evolve as a person, but also changes your view towards the world, which I think experiencing that different culture, whether in Italy or whether through my other classmates who were from other parts of the world, really opened my mind up to the diversity of the world. And I really think that experience helps me a lot in my everyday work environment now, especially because I work in a global position.
Good. And for you, David?
Yeah, no. Very, very similar. I think, I mean, the facts are there. Like, you're changing geography, you're probably changing, something in your life, a lot in your life actually changes. On a deeper, more personal level, I think what changed in myself was I gained more awareness about myself as a professional and as an individual. And I'll give you an example. Before doing the MBA, or maybe you had this in your life, you're like, you have this idea that you really want to organize something big, maybe you have like this thing you're passionate about, and you're like, okay, you know what, I really want to organize this, but like, I don't have maybe the guts to do it. Like, I don't trust myself enough to do this. And this was for me the case. Like, I have these cool ideas, but I was like, I never like took the step because I never had the confidence to do this. And in the MBA, and we're going to talk about clubs and about all these activities, you get together with all these people and you learn from each and every one of them. And I started seeing people that were like starting to organize things, these big things. And I said, like, you know what, if they can do it, why can't I? And it ended up being, and so you try and you start doing it, and it turns out amazing. And it turns out that I learned that I was really passionate about doing things like this, and I was actually getting better and better at it. And so in the end, what it taught me was like, you find things in yourself that you maybe have never been able to try out or to learn about yourself, and you learn about this, and you're put in a setting where you can actually, do these things, and with people that, push you, you see around yourself and push you to kind of, test your limits, test your capabilities. And so that was change for me, like not necessarily becoming a completely different person, much more like learning things about myself that I didn't know about that changed how I work, speak, do things today.
Thank you. And for you, Patricia?
Honestly, I would say what didn't change. Like, I don't speak my native language every day anymore. I work in a completely different setting, but again, on a deeper level, it's like you go through an emotional roller coaster, and even to understand what you want to do next in your career, you kind of have to step back and think, what makes you tick? And that's something that, like, being brought up in this like world where you say, oh, you can do whatever you want and you have to be passionate, really understanding what this passion means for you, it's something that's very changing, and like something switches inside of you. And it drives you in a different way, and you're surrounded by people that are going through the same thing in different ways. So like it wouldn't be uncommon to have a lunch after class and start discussing something very philosophical, like what do I want to become, like what do I aspire to be in life, not necessarily like what do I want to be when I grow up. So it's very like it's changing at a very deep level. It's really questioning your like core and what makes you tick, what will make you like push you forward.
Wow, thank you very much, guys. So now a video that provides you with a glimpse of our MBA experience, and following the video, Prachi, the floor then is yours.
The SDA Bocconi experience is definitely one that's international.
Being exposed to such a multicultural crowd, it gives you a much broader horizon of how the world works.
Milan has two key advantages. It's an international city, and the second one is that it is an economic pole.
In Milan alone, you can find more than 200 banking group headquarters.
You go outside of the campus and meet a lot of great productions and companies, and it has been a really full-around experience.
Milan is home to many iconic Italian luxury brands, and it's the perfect base to discover the luxury industry in depth.
It's such a cultural hub, and there's always something going on in the weekend.
Milan indeed is a very tough city, but this is also its added value because you can meet people, share ideas and create new things. So everything and anything can happen in Milan.
Being in Italy is advantageous because it allows one to be exposed to the Italian culture.
Italy is a beautiful country to travel around and see. This food is very nice.
It's also a country filled with history.
It's easy to travel around Europe.
You can go to art exhibitions, you can travel around, you can spend time with all the other international students. So it's been a really complete experience, both professionally and also personally.
You will never get bored of the culture here. It's very happening, it always keeps you on your toes, and people are very warm, people are very generous.
Not only is the SDA Bocconi experience in the classroom, you really need to engage with the city and the culture.
It's a real international experience in a context that value diversity is another important part. How have these values impacted in your experience?
One thing that I noticed, especially after I finished my MBA, and it was a while back, so Italy at that time was a very different place, I would say, today versus 8 years ago. Today, Italy, in general, outside of Bocconi, is also beginning to change. It's beginning to get more international, but back in the day, especially in a working environment, was not the same. So when I did enter Bocconi, it was so international. I had classmates from everywhere in the world, which was a great learning experience. We even had specific, focused sessions, exercises to actually deal with, like, cultural differences in a workplace. So really interesting experience. And then I move out and I see that actually Bocconi was way ahead of even Italy itself or Milan itself, where at the beginning it was not as international. But this, I would say, was my strength in my work environment or my workplace, because of course, most of the people being Italians had a certain kind of limitation when it came to like dealing with people internationally, having a different point of view. So this experience, of course, helped me gain that edge, I would say, when I did enter the workforce in Italy. But also, yeah, I think that in general, the diversity is something that is a mindset, and it's not just like a word. So it also sort of teaches you that it's not on a superficial level, but it's really understanding different mindsets, it's understanding different cultures, which shapes you and shapes you as a leader in a global context.
Great. So Stefano, come back to the structure of our MBA. Can you describe the journey of the full-time MBA?
Yes, of course. This is a program of 15 months, but highly flexible. So we have 9, 12, 15 months with a number of elements in terms of modularity that I will illustrate. It is part of the brochure and the material we use for information. So I can divide the program in two main parts. The first part is the core foundation, where starting from early September, we go to mid-April. That would be the 5th edition for you, for those who are going to participate and be enrolled in the program. We have the opening week, where we try to onboard the class with a number of activity. We started with these this year, and that would be strengthened next year with this global scenario, or changing scenarios, which is 1 week looking at the world and how it's changing, with a mixture of competencies and skills that you learn from economics to geopolitics, from climate change to demography, from, I would say, the energy transition to the technological scenario of the future, with a team of professors will guide you during the week. And then we start with the contents that are the funding, I would say, pillars that range from economics and, I would say, strategy to finance, accounting, and operation and organizational behavior, sustainability, negotiation, and so on and so forth. This is the first part. Then in the second part, so once you reach the mid-April, we jump into the concentration. That are 4, let's say, different paths. You need to choose one with a number of courses that are elective, that integrate the concentration within a portfolio that we offer, and it is constantly updated. There will be new courses for next edition, since the world is changing very, very fast. If you consider generative AI, machine learning, or today ESG, these are relatively new topics, and we are incorporating that into the program. And then it goes into the summer and fall with a number of different initiatives that we can maybe deep dive into that in a while.
Yeah. So we'd like to talk right now about our faculty, a true cornerstone. How does it differentiate itself, and what characteristic does it have?
I briefly touched upon that at the beginning of my presentation. I think that I'm glad about that. I'm pleased about that. We have an outstanding faculty here at Bocconi, talking with many exchange students that have been here and then they moved through exchange in other university. We really are one of the top players, as it is confirmed by our rankings. Why is it so? Easy. I think that we blend research and practice. In the courses, you have people that are outstanding in terms of publication, but they are also very, very good teachers in delivering the concept, the contents, skills and competencies. This blending is not so common. I've been working and teaching in, I think, about 30 schools in the world, and this is a really very distinctive feature of the few top universities in the world. We have labs, laboratories, we have knowledge center where our professors experience, do research, but also we have a lot of connection with practice. We did an inventory last year, and I had 70 C-level presentation embedded in the courses. So this is a huge amount of top practitioners that are coming from Italy, but also from Europe, and sometimes they travel from far away. Just to let you know, in a couple of weeks for the MBA, we will have the CEO, Philippe Donnet of Generali, that is going to have a speech. This is a leadership series. So this connection, practice and teaching with research is a distinctive element. And how we do that in multiple ways. So there are traditional lectures. There is case studies. It's not just Harvard, we do case studies. We have been doing that for our career since I was in the university as a student. We do role-playing, we do simulation, boot camp, and study tours, and that will be illustrated in a while, because for the next edition there will be some big novelties on that. So I think all the ingredients are there in order to have active learning and a very thorough pedagogical, I would say, path into this new knowledge for many of you.
So we said before, Stefano, that our MBA is really customizable. È un vero punto di forza. It says like that in Italiano. So could you explain this part and the value of the bootcamp related to the concentration LBM at innovation and the international study tours in Mumbai and Middle East, please?
Yes, again, this is, I think, a very important point. I share this idea of being cozy, and we've been speaking about customization, the diversity to practice diversity was also illustrated by our guest that did the MBA in the previous edition. So from April onwards, we have 4 concentration that have been, I would say, quite thoroughly reshaped in the last 2 years, also thanks to the feedback from the class. Finance and private investment, innovation and entrepreneurship, customer experience management, and luxury business management, which is one of the flagship in our entire program. Once you do this concentration, you take one and you have a portfolio of free elective you can add on, and that's something on the way. We keep flexibility, we want to keep innovation, so every year we are adding new contents. Then once you finish this part, from June to November, you have really a very modular set of options. You can go and join an internship or a new full-time employment experience, the work experience. You can, and I'm really pointing the finger at that because I think that many of you might need to become entrepreneurs sooner or later in their career. So I've been strengthening, also thanks to colleagues like Gianmario Verona and Nader Sabegian that teaches innovation. We've been strengthening the pattern of innovation in the last 2 years, adding on entrepreneurship and strengthening this entrepreneurial venture project, which is now a key element for everyone that want to take this concentration. And you can develop your own startup companies. One of our MBA just got awarded last year from FT as one of the 3 innovative startups in the area of sustainability. It got invited by the World Economic Forum to present this idea, and we're very proud of that because this is also a result of what we are teaching and passing to our students in terms of entrepreneurial spirit. The other 2 concentrations that I mentioned, the one on customer experience management and luxury, they are also novel one in terms of contents. And when we go to the fall, which is the last part, there are again a set of alternatives. These alternatives include the possibility to continue the entrepreneurial venture, the possibility to go on exchange, the possibility to have a business project and go back on campus for some additional courses, and finally, you go on with your internship or your work experience. What is also new, and that's something that I would say strengthen the experience for everybody starting from the next edition, is this idea of having more experiential type of learning. LBM, Luxury Business Management, after the period of COVID that has been quite a limitation, has been really I would say, blossoming this year because of the capacity to connect with the community of companies that are working in the field. And it was so outstanding in the evaluation of students that we said, okay, we need to do the same for innovation, because I think that innovation, the experiential part is key. So we're going to add a study tour and a boot camp starting from next edition. For example, we address some of the most interesting and rich ecosystem. Maybe it will be Berlin or maybe Israel, depending on a number of conditions, to check what is the tech hub offering. And the other element is the idea to work with Middle East and India. We have a campus in Mumbai. Why don't leveraging on a journey towards Mumbai, stopping in Middle East? This is an amazing new market for, I would say, job hunting, and also many new things are happening there. So becoming a real international MBA means for us to having a stop in this part of the world and enriching with experience, knowledge and competencies, and opening opportunity for the market.
Fantastic. It's very, very new. Do you like, guys, the new MBA? Yeah? Okay. So during the fall period, we saw before that we have business and beyond special seminars, frontiers of management. What is it exactly?
Yeah, we wanted to have some attractive experience also about those who are coming back on campus, because many people might be inspired to go to the job market, flexibility allow that, but also you can maybe target additional competencies. So we match this idea of having business project with this new view on business and beyond business. And into that, we offer 3 different tracks. They're not in detail defined because that would be fall 25, so it's very far away. But it's going to be new contents in terms of, I would say, frontiers in management, new topics that might emerge, elements related to behavioral skills, and finally, industrial labs. Industry labs are key for those who want to access new industry. So we want to strengthen the knowledge of the industry, maybe to do this triple jump, because industry competencies, vertical might be lacking. Pharma, for example, or healthcare might require additional knowledge. So this is how we have been reshaping this part of the program.
Thank you, Stefano. So everything is beautiful, but the MBA is also homework, is also exam. So David, can you give us some tips about the workload, the rhythm, and the exam session of our MBA?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you all heard probably that the word intense come up times because the program is intense. I mean, it is a lot of things all condensed, into a 12 to 15-month period. But it is at the same time a 360-degree experience, right? You're growing as a professional, you're growing as a personal, and you're growing overall, in your perspective around the world. And I think there's a really cool parallel to this, to the business world, because imagine, or maybe you are a CEO right now, imagine you're a CEO and you cannot do everything in your company, right? You have 2 hands, you have limited time, so you really have to focus on what's important. And I personally believe that the same applies to the MBA. At the start of the program, you should really ask yourself, okay, what should I be focusing on? What do I want to focus on? And, move from there and understand, okay, where do I invest my time? Because ultimately, the hours that you will invest into certain things will eventually mean what you are taking out of this program after 1 year, after 3 years, after 5 years. So I think that's the advice that I would give, really. Understand, okay, looking forward, like, what do I want to focus on now, and what do I want to be, if once I'm finished with this program 5 years later, what do I want that this program has given me? What do I want to have in 5 years that I've learned during, this 1 year of very intense but very enriching experience?
Thank you, David. So, Stefano, and an interesting innovation has to do with industry days. What are they?
Yeah, this is I'm happy to talk about that because this is a result, again, of a long conversation with students. And I think that on a personal note, this conversation helps improving, and the fact that we are a number of people that is, as I said, within 100, 120 helps a lot of that. So listening, and we have an advisory council for that, and the result was we need to leverage more on the club activity. Clubs are doing very interesting, I would say, initiative, like seminars, like workshop, but my perception was it was not fully exploited, let me say. And so a couple of years ago, when I was starting in my role, to make it very clear, we had a kind of element to strengthen the relation with, let's say, broadly speaking, the financial community. Why? 2 years of COVID, a number of reasons, and we invented, students invented, what we call today, I mean, a very important event. It's a private-public investment forum. It started from the Class 47, and we thought that's a great idea to have 1 day of networking vertical on finance. We did an amazing event with the Class 47. We repeated this event with the Class 48, even bigger, because the entire Faculty of Finance and Law was there. And with that in mind, we say, why don't we repeat that with other industries? Leveraging clubs in a more continuous and complete, broad way. So last year, I mean, a few months ago, in the very end, it was launched this Tech Summit. And why don't we do another Tech Summit next year, where we invite scale-up companies, technology, frontier company, and again, that was introduced by students. So next year and the following, we will have vertical, we call it in such a way, industry, let's say, focus activity or industry day, where we work with practitioner, with the students can leverage on the network, and that's it, basically.
Thank you, Stefano. So, Sabine, can you tell us how your service works? A very important part of the MBA journey. What does the Career Development Center do? Is there any calendar structure of the activity? And also in terms of the expectation, could you please help our candidate to better understand the worst scenario?
Okay.
Yeah, difficult question, I know.
Long. I would start with correct in Georgia, because we moved away from the word service.
Yeah.
We do organize a lot of activities and networking events with companies worldwide that come here because they are big and they need people at that managerial level, so not below and not above, for that specific moment of their lives. And this is the perfect profile. One of the typical example is Amazon, that recruits kind of massively these type of profiles for a certain position type in the firm. But then, of course, not all the firms have the same structure. So what we actually do is cross sectors, starting from, of course, consulting, and then fashion and luxury, financial services, and technology, and so on. We try to come to campus those companies where we know that people can get placed in such a middle management type of job. That comes also with a certain type of remuneration, of course, because salary is important. To do this, it's easy. Companies are very happy to come to campus. But we also have to make sure that students, before they approach the company, have a proper curriculum that is achievement-based, so it has to describe what they have been doing before the MBA. But what people have done before the MBA, most of the time, is not that relevant. It still has to be explained in a way that the company finds attractive, the person and the past of this person, but companies want to see what people have been doing during the MBA. So extracurricular activities, club activities, the organization of events, they want to see people, hungry for something. What is that something? That's up to them. They have to find out. Now, maybe somebody is a bit more structured or has studied business before, so it's easier to understand how to transition to a new thing. For others, or people coming from the very countries which are very far away, which still have to adjust, first of all, to Italian culture, Italian language, which we haven't mentioned so far, but I know Prachi has learned, and Patricia as well. And well, for David, it was different because he was bilingual, but you know, people need to, when they decide they're gonna move and they want to settle and they want to create a family, maybe even in Italy, learning the language is fundamental. And companies want to see that you want to, you know. Of course, you will not become super fluent bilingual in 15 months, but trying to perform well during an interview in Italian. If at some point you have to switch to English, that's perfectly fine. Everybody is understanding that. And so, yes, the office is there. Our development center is there to attract companies and making sure the students are prepared enough to go and face the battle.
And start immediately at the beginning of the program?
No, we start
just
even before. Yes. So we eventually, you know, I would love for people to start as soon as they get admitted into the program. That's still a bit of a challenge. So at least we start late May, beginning of June, with onboarding students, and so they have to start to write already their CV, following our suggestions. We ask them to do a psychometric test, which allows us to understand their behaviors, their preferred behaviors in managerial situations. We have another set of tools where we ask them just to start thinking about their career. They have to do the exercise first. Of course, then most of the people are changing their mind. Some because they had an idea or they had a dream and they were trying to get there, but the market did not share that expectation, and so they have to change. Others because they went through a summer internship and then they realized, okay, consulting is not for me. It's too many hours. I don't want that, which is fine. But only thanks to these little pieces, they were able to fine-tune what their final wish was. It could be very similar to the initial or very, very different. So our job is to be there, stay next to them. At the end of the day, the decision and the effort has to be the student's one.
Yeah, so the relationship is really one-to-one. Good. So an MBA, or in any case, our MBA is not just like a classes, exam, etc. There is a lot of more around it. So Patricia, could you give us some example of extracurricular activities, clubs?
Wow, I mean, there's a lot of extracurriculars. We have Italian classes, as Sabrina was saying, and it's very important. Like, if you want to stay in a different country, especially in Europe, you're going to have to learn the local language. So that was definitely important. But then you have the clubs and the extracurriculars. We have the leadership series that come, like, a lot of different people would come and CEOs speak to us. It was always super enriching. Always comes with an aperitivo at the end, so you can network and like be with your friends. So like it's never just, you know, the hard business part. It always comes with something that will make it also fun. So it made networking much easier. For the clubs, we'll have we had the more industry-related clubs, so finance club, consulting club, industry ops also. But then you have the social clubs, which are amazing. So we had the LGBTQ club, the Etica Club, which I was part of, and was super interesting because it clustered all the diversity. So instead of having a different club for women, for, sustainability, we clustered it all together, and I think it made us stronger because it's under a big umbrella, and at the end, we're all going towards the same goal of making like a better society in that sense. So it was super interesting. And then like the more fun clubs. So we had a wine club in our year. I don't think it's there, but we had it.
Yeah.
Sailing club organizes the sailing week, which was amazing. Ski club with the ski week as well. So it's really like more than just the classroom. I would say most of the things will happen outside of the classroom because you have to work together in groups, and then you're always with those people. So that's when you really start to network and even learn from like other colleagues, like how to network, how do you approach this? And maybe you're better at cold calls than someone else, and then you teach that person, and then that person's much better at approaching someone one-on-one. So it's like much more of an exchange outside the classroom, I'd say.
And so your MBA is also about networking. So Prachi, can you explain the importance of developing networking in your period, in the MBA period?
Sure. I think that the MBA already, as Patricia mentioned, gives you a lot of opportunities to network, whether it is with other MBA students, but also there are a lot of opportunities to network with other students, whether they are in EMBA, MAFED, etc., so other masters. Apart from that, there are always leadership series, other kinds of guest lectures, opportunities to also network with the previous batch's alumni. So there are plenty of opportunities. One thing that is my learning and my personal experience is quality is more important than quantity. So I would also always suggest to build like genuine relationships as opposed to just like trying to approach every single person, but then, you know, not having your focus or not having that connection or not having the right approach, because everybody is busy. I can imagine all the executives and the 20,000 messages that they receive every single day. I receive so many different messages, and as much as I would love to, it's impossible to respond to everybody or to remember every single person. So also always try to have that edge, try to have that one thing that makes you stand out, that would make you memorable, because in the end, we're a lot of people, everybody is incredible. You will see your classmates will be incredible, incredibly talented, and you'll always be in this pool of people. So yeah, try to form more genuine connections, try to have something and build on yourself to have that edge that would make you stand out and really memorable for the other person.
Thank you, Prachi. And now I would like to share with you another important aspect of our decision. When you decide to apply for an MBA full-time, the location, the city, the facilities are important aspects. So Milan, it's a very beautiful city. It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's the capital of business, fashion, luxury, consultancy. It's perfect for your company visit. You will bring the Italian culture and its value, and is the perfect mix of culture, leisure, people, place. And in terms of the campus is completely new. All the structure are eco-sustainable, and in this campus you have the possibility to get in touch with the classmate of the executive division and the master specialized full-time division, because, as we said before, networking is another important part, guys, of your journey. So in this wall, you will bring the Italian strong tradition of more than 100 years of history and innovation. And this is what you will see in the following video. So the campus, 38,000 square meters, has obtained an important certification about the sustainability impact. Stefano, can you give us more details about this certification, this important certification.
Thanks, George. Yeah, that's my area of interest. And have to say that just a few weeks ago, I mean less than few, one and some week ago, we got awarded by FT. This is written, you see, second worldwide. That was the FT for the MBA. The last year for international management, the campus is the same. We were number one in terms of the most carbon, I would say, in terms of net zero program and carbon emission campus worldwide. What I mean is that we've been working a lot on that. Maybe in Italy, you do not associate Italy with the leadership in sustainability, but this university buy electricity only from renewables starting from 2017, so already a few years. The campus has 20% as an average in consumption of electricity from the photovoltaic panel that you see on the roof. So the size of the campus allows us just to have 20%, but it's a relevant issue considering that we have an Olympic swimming pool and we have to heat the entire, I would say, gym with that. And we have a plan for decarbonization. We target to be net zero for all the direct emission 2025. It's quite easy because we have almost zero direct emission. And the indirect, the big advantage, we are a urban campus. So if you analyze with indicators the impact of commuting for our 20,000 some students every day, it's very limited comparing to those who are maybe located outside city center and they have to take, I would say, cars to reach the campus. So this is the reason why we have been an excellence on that. And this is part of the journey. So when I talk with my students, sustainability, we try to practice that. We not only preach or teach sustainability.
Thank you, Stefano. And Sabine, could you share right now a picture of post-graduation career statistics? I put a slide now.
Should be coming up. George is going to show you the statistics of the last class that graduated in December 2022. This information you can find on the website of the program itself, where you will find also salary information, the percentages of what kind of industry and what kind of function students of that particular class have been landing to. It changes slightly every single year. I would say it will depend on two main factors. One is the job market, of course. You know, sometimes one segment or one field, one sector suffers more than others. And then, you know, we've seen during COVID, pharma was doing really, really well. Now it's a little bit in recession. Technology is going through some huge restructuring, disruptive moments. So companies that used to hire a lot of people, like Amazon, is now contracting. They are still coming to campus, but not hire as many people as they did before. But you have a lot of really new technology players with really cool ideas. So why not looking into something else, still related to technology or fintech, and so on. And then you have to consider the function. So how many people are doing general management or strategy jobs? How many people land into a marketing role? Or how many people are doing corporate finance within a company itself? And so a part of the market, it depends also on the expectations and on how hard students are working to obtain something that they would like to do. We've seen, compared to a couple of years ago, we've seen more opportunities coming up in the Middle East. It's a very interesting region, but we're not pushing people there, so everybody needs to go and take a look and understand for themselves if it's a place where they could live for a couple of years, and maybe those couple of years will become even a decade, but of course today we don't know. One important thing is that when people leave the MBA, when students leave, when they graduate, they usually have a job already by December. let's say that 95%, which is a percentage over there, people find a job after 3 months after graduating, represent the amount of people that are working right after the MBA. But people stay in the first post-MBA job just a year and a half, maybe 2. People get promoted, so they move vertically, but a lot of people already have a clearer picture that what was the first post-MBA employment is not really what they want to do anymore.
But the career growth doesn't stop.
Exactly, it never stops. So we know that people get bored after a year and a half, or the experience just gets kind of worn out, and there's no room anymore there to improve further. And so we have a very strong alumni service, alumni, let's say, path that can help people to rethink the process once more and reapply again to positions that they find interesting. With a better, if I may say, with a better understanding that maybe what they wanted just post-MBA was not really what they wanted. So it begins again. Yeah. But then it's easier to work with the students because they've been back to market and they know more about what they want and what they don't want without testing again. So the second round is easier then.
It's easier. Good. And now, guys, I will explain more details about the admission process. So the admission process is rigorous one. We need to understand if you are a good candidate for SDA Bocconi, if you are a forward-thinking candidate, but your homework is understand if SDA Bocconi fits with your expectation in terms of career goals, international classroom, methodology, networking. So we are two sides of the same coin. You pay a good part of the money in order to have knowledge, headhunter contact, international experience. You pay to be a member of an elite. So the very important question you have to ask before your application form are, why now? Why SDA Bocconi? And where do you wish to image your profession after receiving the MBA? Keep in mind these 3 important questions. And now my colleague Valentina in Rome will explain more details about our application form.
And hi everyone, also from our beautiful campus in Rome, in BNEB, and welcome also to all of our guests here in Rome. So before going into the technical details about the application process, I just wanted to share a couple of other details that are crucial, as Georgia mentioned already. And I always like to define them with the 3 C's. That means courage, curiosity, and commitment. So before going into all the technicalities of the application process, really remember the reasons why you are applying, but also remember to bring to the application process and after that to the selection process, really your personality, your values, your courage. It's really a tough choice, as we said and we've heard from our alumni, but also it's a choice of commitment. So it's going to be a really intense year, and it's going to be intense. It's really like that. And then curiosity, because in the very end, it's a process that involves a life decision. It's your life, and it really needs to be thought out really, really well. So now let's go into the details of the application process. Everything is online, so you will simply need to go to the application form, which is on our website, and you will need to fill out all the details. You will see there some parts related to your CV, your degree certificate, the references, which need to be 2. One can be from your academic point of view and the other one from your professional point of view, or 2 professional references. Of course, also your CV and your professional experience and all the details about that. And then you have, as you can see on the slide, the video pre-interview, which is always something that arises some interest. That's a way that we have to get to know you before the interview. So you will have some essay questions to answer on the application form, but you will also have this video pre-interview, which is a way for us to get to know our candidate on the other side. The English certification is, of course, relevant. C1 is the level required. And then the final point of the whole selection process, as we said, is the interview. So really bring there all your motivation and all the 3 C's that I mentioned at the beginning. The final deadline to apply for the 2024 edition of the MBA is April 15th. However, we never really recommend waiting until the last minute. As you can see here, the application process is rolling. So it means that the applications are open already. You can absolutely submit your form. And the 4 rounds that you see there, those simply mean that you will see on the website November, January, and 4 different rounds to submit the application. Those are referred also to the scholarships. We do offer many different scholarships for our MBA candidates, so please absolutely go through all of them. They are all given on a merit basis, so what we take into consideration is your merit coming from your academic background, professional background, and the whole of the application process. So keep in mind those rounds also for the scholarship application. If you have questions, my colleague Georgia will share with you in a second the email address and the contact details where you can absolutely reach us, and we're happy to meet you, absolutely.
Thank you, Valentina. Thank you very much. So I have a question from Giulia Stefano. Are there any possibility from the candidate that come from pharmaceutical sector?
Yes. I'll give a brief answer, then I'll leave on to Sabine. Yeah. Yes, this is an area of interest both for incoming and for the, let's say, career after. Of course, we have no vertical specific concentration on pharma, but the specificity of the sector can be analyzed from different managerial organizational standpoint. I just mentioned innovation, where starting from this year, our former rector, Gianmario Verona, is back to teaching, and Gianmario has a broad vertical experience exactly in this sector and in life science, let's say. And we have example of candidates that then ends in the world of pharma or healthcare. But maybe Sabine, you can add on more specific information.
No, actually you have covered everything already. I mean, the pharmaceutical, we don't have enough of this profile, so welcome.
Yeah.
It's a profile that companies always ask us, both for consulting as for the pharmaceutical firms, more into healthcare, consumer health, or biotech, or anything else related. So easy.
Okay, thank you. So Patricia and then David, now could you share with us, with our potential candidates, some tips when preparing their application process?
So I would say, first of all, be really yourself. I don't think anybody has to come with a full developed plan. Part of the MBA journey is to discover that you really didn't want it what you thought you did, or to be open to different processes. And I do think that that's something that's valuable. Like, it's not only about your CV or what you did before or what's your GMAT score. So like, think of your application as a whole. So like, there's a lot of different essays, so you can really try to like shine your best light on yourself. But just like be yourself, because at the end of the day, you're going to go through different rounds and different kinds of questions. They're all being tied together. So like, you're given some pieces to like complete a puzzle. So use those pieces in a good way.
Good. And for you, David?
Yeah, I think one advice I would give ties back to what Patti was saying, and it was crucial for me. It was given to me back in the day by an alumna, and she said, really, before you start your application, just like take a moment, reflect on yourself, really, self-reflect. Think really through about, what do you think are your strengths and what do you think are your weaknesses? And I think this was an exercise that for me was not only important to submit my application because I could better portray myself and like who I am, but also just on a personal level, like really understanding, okay, what am I doing right now and where is it going to take me? And I think another advice I would like to give, which was a surprise to me, was don't be afraid of reaching out to people, especially MBAs. So MBAs are like a special breed. They love to talk about themselves, like extremely. So if you, and taking into account what Rachi said, so don't just, spam people, but like take a tailored approach to the person you're reaching out to, but don't be afraid of asking them, about their experience, about what they lived, about what this experience taught them, because as I said, I mean, they love to talk about it, so at the end of the day, and it can also help you give, it can also help you understand, if the MBA you're choosing is really the one you wanted to do, and if the MBA in general is what you're looking for.
Well, thank you. So here is our direct contact. So if you would like to arrange, as I said before, an orientation meeting with the recruiting team online, in presence, around the world during our meetup, do not hesitate to send us an email to md@sdabocconi.it. So in conclusion, I would like to give a special thanks to my guest, and across the presentation here is really late, so I hope this webinar has been helpful, and thank you to everybody, and please keep in touch. Chi desidera